OneBlock Skyblock is such a fun map to play. So instead of enjoying a typical OneBlock, I decided to play a truly cursed version of it called Lucky Block. If you've never heard about it, the Lucky Block can give you OP items such as diamond armor, enchanted diamond tools, but on the other hand, it can send TNT right in your face or lock you up in a lovely lava trap, for example. This 100 days will for sure be very relaxing. Not. I played 100 days on OneBlock Lucky Block. In this 100 days, I will attempt to transform a single Lucky Block into an awesome solar system base. And trust me, this has been my hardest challenge yet on this channel. By the way, guys, we are getting so close to reaching 200,000 subscribers. First of all, I would like to thank you so much for watching my videos and supporting me through this journey. And if you enjoy this video, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, it would help so much. All that said, let the terror begin. On day 1, I wasn't reassured. And yet, it was time to start mining this Lucky Block. So straight off the bat, I got terrified by this lightning, and then I had to mine a diamond block with my bare hands. I'm loving this already. I then got a tiny desert temple, and then a huge Lucky Block. Like honestly, I couldn't understand anything that was going on. I collected some of the wool and made myself a platform where I planted my one and only tree, and thankfully I did that because there was an explosion, so yeah. Thankfully, my tree was alright. It actually grew pretty fast, but sadly I had to cut it to make myself a bed and some tools. On day 2, I decided to use my pickaxe to mine some blocks to kind of extend my island. I also got some armor, so obviously I put it on, even though it wouldn't really help me. Some wolves spawned, but they all died, which was quite tragic. And then I got a column of terracotta with a diamond block on top, so that was pretty exciting. Well, no actually, because I only had a wooden pickaxe. Oh yeah, and guess what? I actually used some end portal frames on my island, meaning I will never be able to take them off because you cannot mine them in survival. On a more positive note, I got some buckets with lava, water and milk, as well as another giant Lucky Block. I did actually try to mine the portal frame with my pickaxe, very smart, and then a spider came out of nowhere, it totally freaked me out, and once she was dead, I went to bed. On day 3, I vented my frustration on the portal frame, even though I knew there was no way I could get rid of it. I then continued mining the Lucky Block, and then suddenly I blew up. Oh yeah, that just happened. I mean, on the good side, dying in Lucky Block doesn't make you lose all your items. I mean, it's a bit weird, but oh well, that's how it works. And why on earth is it called Lucky Block? Because it does things like this, where you can't see anything around you. Just great. Oh, and it also does things like this. The lava trap. Lovely, you're just locked up in a cage, you don't have anything to break it, and there's just lava pouring on top of you. This is just wonderful. Well, I mean, the good thing is you get a bit of lava, so guess what I did after placing a door on my house? Very important. I built a cobblestone generator. On day 5, I decided to make my tree his very own personal island. And then the Lucky Block just threw some TNT right in my face. I mean, that was just so nice. Thank you very much. And honestly, I was starting to question myself, why did I do a OneBlock Lucky Block? Why couldn't I just do the typical one? Because it trapped me in an obsidian trap. So I mean, how is it possible for me to get out without some diamond tools? And I mean, some people play this in hardcore, so that is something I cannot comprehend. On day 6, I got a bunch of slime and also a very friendly zombie that gave me potatoes. By the way, I love potatoes. Thank you very much. And on a less cooler note, I got a ghast that was just lovely, but he wasn't actually too hard to kill because he was just stuck on the Lucky Block. On day 7, the Lucky Block kindly gave me some TNT again. I mean, he just loves me so much. But to be fair, on a happy note, I did get 2 rainbow sheep, which were really cute. On day 8, I got another rainbow sheep, and I decided to call them all the Beatles, even though there were only 3 sheep, so we've got Ringo Starr, John Lennon, and Paul McCartney. And I guess this huge slime that almost killed me could be George Harrison. On day 9, the 𝓤𝓏𝓼𝓲𝓬 needed a stage, or at least an enclosure, so I used a bit of colorful wool. By the way, it was the worst enclosure I've ever done, and I managed to push Ringo's star inside. John had gotten stuck on the roof, so I brought him down, and luckily I actually got some hay bales, so I brought Paul and John in their enclosure. Oh yeah, and after that I drowned in another obsidian trap. I mean, lovely. On day 10, I battled a slime, and then I got 2 lovely ginger kitty cats, so I called one Chocolate and the other Rose, probably because their colors were brown and pink. And yes, originality is my middle name. Of course, you can't play Lucky Block without having an explosion in your face at least once a day. And honestly, I kept flinching for no reason, like here where there were fireworks, because I was so terrified there would be some more TNT exploding. I got some lucky potions, and basically when you smash them on the ground, they just release cool effects, or like you can get a cake, so it's pretty funny. I actually got 2 wolves, so I was pretty happy. I named one Leo and the other Tom. On day 11, I fed the 𝓤𝓏𝓼𝓲𝓬, and then the Lucky Block gave me something very peculiar, so I had to go down and inspect. Basically, it was an armor stand with my head on it for some reason. Finally, I got a no-P tool. It was called the Hero's Axe, it was made out of diamonds, and it was enchanted, so trust me, I was so happy. I decided to enchant my chest plate to be a little bit more protected. And then a diamond block spawned, but this time I had some iron and I was able to mine it. It was really satisfying. On day 12, Linda came into our lives. So I was trying to make her a little place to stay and I accidentally hit her. She didn't like it, but after fussing for a few minutes, she came back. The Lucky Block gave me some luck potions, and the potions actually gave a bunch of little brown bunnies, and I also had a jump boost, so I really did feel like a bunny. On day 13, I used a golden carrot to lure the bunnies in because I didn't actually have any carrots. I got another tower of glazed terracotta with a diamond block on top, and of course, to end the day on a good note, I got another lava trap, which was, you know, very relaxing. On day 14, I crafted myself a diamond helmet and I enchanted it as well. I got 2 more kitty cats, named them Patrick and Susan, and I also had my daily Lucky Block explosion, obviously. But that wasn't the worst. After getting a really good diamond sword, the ground below me disappeared and I fell in some lava. I mean, what's the logic in that? Once I was alive again, I got another giant Lucky Block and I decided to use the lever on it for once, but basically it exploded loads of great resources and they just all fell into the void. On day 15, I got a Lucky Block that was half chicken eggs, half diamonds, so yeah. It was a bit strange, but I was able to make myself some diamond leggings and I had a baby chick on the island with me. I then got an obsidian trap, but this time I had a diamond pickaxe, so I mined my way out of it. Yeah, you're not gonna get me this time, Lucky Block. After that, a skeleton rider spawned, so yeah, I just made a run for it and watched him fly around in the void. I mined a bit of cobblestone and then I got some more luck potions and they gave me so many effects, but guess what? It was really useful because the ground below me opened again, I fell into some lava, but I managed to get out because I had fire resistance. I then got trapped again, but this time it was 2 anvils that would fall on my head. On day 16, I actually noticed I was invisible. I don't know why, I thought that was really funny. And then I mined some cobblestone because I would start making my actual base. Catastrophe struck when I noticed that my house was on fire, and when I came back, I realized that Linda had died. I mourned the loss of a very dear friend that I'd barely known for 3 to 4 days, but oh well. On day 18, I continued building my base and basically it would have the shape of a moon. By the way, did you know that the moon's presence helps stabilize our planet's wobble and moderate our climate? On day 19, I realized I really should make a mob farm because waiting for one tree to grow on one dirt block is very long. Oh, and I actually almost died jumping off, super smart. As my base will be partly inspired by space, there will be a lot of facts on planets in this video, so I really hope you will enjoy learning about planets and the solar system and all that. And don't worry, I'll try and make it as interesting as possible. On day 21, I continued working on the mob farm. I actually used different blocks because I thought it would look nice. It didn't really add much to it, but never mind. Building this farm was quite a long process because I had to mine so much cobblestone, and I was also waiting for the tree to grow to actually do my moon-shaped platform. Did you know that a full NASA spacesuit actually cost $12 million? I mean, yeah, that's quite expensive. No wonder the studies to become an astronaut are so tricky and long because, yeah, exploring space does cost quite a bit. On day 23, I got a lucky sheep that was all white, so I thought it could be a good idea to have a white sheep. But guess who was with the white sheep? There was a hero villager as well as a charged creeper. I bought the villager inside my house and I got rid of the charged creeper because, yeah, he had no place on this island. And then I also got some more chickens, so I made them a little pumpkin enclosure for some reason. On day 25, I got another ghast who attempted to burn down my platform unsuccessfully. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I actually have 3 horses that spawned from luck potions. They all had gold armor, so I decided to give one iron armor and the other diamond so that I could actually differentiate them. So the gold armor is Bob, the diamond Jackie, and the iron Patrick. From days 26 to 27, I realized I really needed a lot of cobblestone for making this farm and for making quite a few things, so I decided to mine plenty of cobblestone at my cobblestone generator, AFK obviously. The night had actually come and there were like loads of monsters that had spawned, so I carefully killed them off because a creeper explosion would not be welcome. On day 29, I continued filling up my moon platform with loads of oak slabs. It did take quite some time because I had to wait for the tree to grow every single time. On day 30, I went back up to work on the farm, so I started working on the platforms and all the walls around. I of course placed down some slabs every 4 blocks so that spiders wouldn't spawn, and I also placed some torches because I didn't want to get killed off by a bunch of mobs before finishing the farm. On day 31, I started working on the roof part, and I also bought up some water to make all the streams that would push all the mobs into the hole. On day 32, I got a bunch more potatoes. It was absolutely magical. And then I got a witch, and yeah, she did freak me out a bit. You can see how much my mouse was shaking. You know, I really am a professional at this game. To add to that, a ghast spawned, and this time he managed to shoot a fireball at my little bridge separating my house from the lucky block, and it just burnt down so many things as the bridge was mainly made out of wool. That poor brown bunny was not enjoying himself. There was yet another explosion, but I actually discovered there were some iron blocks, so I mined them and I was able to make some hoppers for my farm. On day 33, I continued working on the lower area of my farm, so I connected some chests to the hoppers. And finally, the farm was done and I started hitting all these monsters, and I now had some bones, so I transformed it into bone meal and I could get as much wood as I wanted. So yeah, that was truly game changing. So obviously I worked quite hard on finishing the platform. I even decided to make like a sort of little bushy wall out of leaves all around so that there are less chances I might fall, and also because I thought it would look nice. Fun fact, space is actually completely silent. There is no atmosphere in space, which means that sound has no way to travel to be heard. On day 35, the moon platform was finished, and I started working on 2 platforms which would be on each side of the moon. I wasn't sure what I would be using them for, but probably for storage or something. Most of us know that high tides and low tides are caused by the moon. But why? Basically, the tidal force causes Earth and its water to bulge out on the side closest to the moon, as well as the side farthest to the moon. On day 36, I farmed a few mobs, and then I went to release the chickens from their pumpkin enclosure to put them in a more proper, fenced-up enclosure. I also decided to make a temporary enclosure for the sheep because they were really living in a crammed up space. The reason I was breeding the sheep was because I didn't know when I would need, their colorful wool for building something, because on Lucky Block, the only infinite blocks I had were wood and stone, and I really didn't want to make everything out of wood and stone, especially if I had to build a solar system. On day 37, I had a fun little ride on Jackie, my horse, and then I would bone meal chop down a ton of trees. The two other platforms I was making kind of looked like some corridors, and that's what they would become. They weren't large round platforms, they were more like long and creating a contour of the moon platform. Once they were done, I placed loads of bushes all around. On day 39, I realized that the lucky sheep had gotten in with the rabbits, as well as Jackie, so I got him out. One of the brown rabbits escaped, but I lured him back in. And once the lucky sheep was in with his friends, I decided to shear them, and I forgot. They will never grow the wool back because there is no grass. On day 40, I was quite happy to find that a wandering trader had spawned. So obviously, I bought some saplings from it, so I got acacia saplings as well as a mangrove propagule. I have no idea how to say it, but basically a mangrove sapling. The acacia would be perfect for building Mars because it's a pretty orange planet and acacia would do the job perfectly. I started making, the basic circles where I would be building each planet. So Jupiter, of course, would be much larger than the other planets, as well as Saturn, and Mercury would be tiny. I was gradually destroying my ugly house made out of every block in the game and replacing everything with some oak wood because, it looked much better. I actually killed off the wandering trader because I thought that maybe another one couldn't spawn. I'm probably wrong. But I really wanted another one to spawn with hopefully some dirt on him. On day 43, I started working on Mars. Don't pay attention too much to the sizes of the planets because they're not realistic at all. I just tried making, Earth, Mars, and Venus a bit smaller than Jupiter and Saturn, for example. I also started working on Mercury and I used some cobblestone. On day 44, I thought I had done a superb job with Mercury, but no, it just looked like the poop emoji. As well as trying to make it more round, I decided to elevate Mercury a bit because it would be nice if we could see the planets from the island. Patches of carbon-rich material called graphite, the same stuff that is used for a pencil, cover Mercury's surface. On day 45, I continued working on Mars, so I actually also bought it up so that we could see it, because if I made them the same level as the base, we would only see the top of the planet and it wouldn't look very nice. Once Mercury was done, I actually decided to bring all the chickens inside. Don't ask me why, it is a complete mystery. On day 46, I was looking at a picture of Mars, the real planet, and I saw that it had different shades of orange and a bit of black, and I tried to add a bit of wool that color, and it just looked terrible, so I stuck to acacia wood. On day 47, I started working on the biggest planet, Jupiter. By the way, if you were wondering, I'm going to list the planets from smallest to biggest. So we've got Mercury, Mars, Venus, Earth, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter. On day 48, I started mining at the Lucky Block again, and I got an army of kitty cats. That was really lovely, but I just couldn't name them all. My favorite planet since I was a kid has always been Uranus, and not because of the name, but just because I loved the gassy blue color it has. On day 49, all was going relatively well. I got, fireworks with some awesome resources, and then everything was black. I could only walk very slow, so I tried to see cover on my platform. But when the potion wore off, I realized it was nighttime and there were monsters everywhere. Obviously, I panicked and I locked myself up in the obsidian trap. On day 50, I crept back out of the trap, I killed a creeper that was just outside the door, and plenty more mobs. I then thought I could relax after all that, so I went to mine the lucky block and it exploded me into thin air. I mean, yeah, I was just terrified of everything after that. There was like a gold block that spawned and I was just out of there. And then, of course, I had a skeleton rider and I managed to shoot his horse. So it was just funny to see him fall into the void. And just to top this awesome day, the ground below me disappeared and I fell into some lava with 2 of my cats. I mean, honestly, Lucky Block, if you're looking for something relaxing to do, is the thing to go for. On day 51, I got another anvil trap, and I also got 2 kitty cats as well as a bunny. So if you haven't seen my Instagram yet, basically I love bunnies, and I actually have a brown bunny called Wonder. Next, this was super random, but basically a giant zombie spawned for some reason. He wasn't very aggressive, and I kind of regret pushing him off into the void. I then of course got my daily TNT, and guess who survived? This lucky pig. I mean, fair enough, he was truly a lucky pig. I brought him in with the sheep so that he would be safe, and then I actually got some spawn eggs of a dolphin and all, so I kept them quite safe. I got some enchanted golden apples that I kept of course for the ender dragon fight, and then I got some bunnies. One of them survived and he just jumped into the void. I mean, please Minecraft, change the rabbits, they're not that hectic in real life. I then got a few more rainbow sheep, and honestly the sheep pen was really getting crammed up there. So I then got the kind of desert temple lucky block thing, and I realized that the sandstone would look awesome on Jupiter, so obviously I collected it all. Day 53 was typical and relaxing. My death wish came true and I exploded once again. Thanks, Bob. I really wanted to get a bunch more emeralds for trading with the wandering trader, but every time I pulled down the lever of the giant lucky block, all the awesome resources would just fall into the void and it was quite depressing. On day 54, I basically spent the entire day mining the lucky block, so I got loads of different things as well as a lava trap, obviously, but this time I decided to make a platform under the huge lucky block to try and get all the resources. But this time around, all I got was a bunch of monsters and some TNTs, so yeah, luck was not on my side. I really don't understand. I'm half Irish and this lucky block is just not working for me. Nevertheless, on day 55, I went back to Jupiter and started placing a layer of sandstone. Some consider Jupiter a failed star since it is made out of swirling gases and liquids such as 90% hydrogen and 10% helium. On day 56, I collected a bunch of yellow wool. That is because I was working on Venus. So to make things clear, I really wanted Venus to stand out with the yellow, even though its real color is more white and yellow. So basically, a day on Venus is almost as long as an Earth year. Basically, it takes Venus longer to rotate once on its axis rather than to complete one orbit of the Sun. I mean, how crazy is that? On day 59, I was delighted to see that another wandering trader had spawned. So I decided to buy some seeds off him as well as rooted dirt, because if you hold down rooted dirt, you just get dirt. So basically I bought all the rooted dirt he had to offer and I planted a bunch of wheat seeds because I would be needing loads of wheat to feed all the sheep. On day 60, I made some brand new enclosures and I selected 2 blue sheep for an enclosure, 2 white for another, and 2 light blue. Basically, I would dye the white ones green because I needed green and blue for Earth, light blue for Uranus, and dark blue for Neptune. In a way, Jupiter is the solar system's vacuum cleaner because of its powerful gravity, which attracts many of the comets and asteroids to hit it rather than other planets. Well, I guess we all have to say thank you, Jupiter. Jupiter is covered in swirling cloud stripes and has enormous storms like the Great Red Spot, which has been going on for hundreds of years. On day 62, I finally started building a storage area, so basically I used the 2 corridors that I had made earlier and I placed just a bunch of chests. Jupiter truly fascinates me, as do most of the planets in the solar system, so I have to give you one other fact about it. The winds on Jupiter are very powerful. They are trapped in the planet's wide bands of latitude. Each of these bands has a slightly different chemical makeup and temperature. Because of this, some of the bands have different colors. The light-colored bands are called zones, and the dark-colored bands are called belts. Once all my stuff was sorted in the storage area, I started building some brand new enclosures. So I decided to make one enclosure for all the random colored sheep, and then 3 enclosures for the blue, light blue, and green sheep. I of course could not forget the lucky pig. I really didn't want him to just walk off the island. That wouldn't be very good. That night I spotted yet another wandering trader. He was kind of struggling and he lost his llamas in the void. It was a bit sad. But on the good side, I bought a birch sapling because I thought that, a light colored wood would be excellent for making my planets. I really love the facts on Jupiter, like the fact that each of these rings is just clouds, a different temperature, different chemicals. Like before, I always believed that Jupiter was a bit like Mars and just had some kind of sand covering it, and maybe it was just in layers, but I guess that the winds and the storms just make more sense now. On day 68, I finished destroying that ugly bridge I had made out of terracotta, but obviously it was impossible for me to break the portal frame, so yeah, that was a little bit frustrating. But nevertheless, it was part of the game, so I decided to replace the bridge with an oak bridge. I thought it would look a little bit nicer. So I took the time to remove the obsidian. I got a bit angry at the portal frames yet again. And to make everything look spruced up, I decided to place loads of quartz slabs around the bridge as well as all around my island. I then started working on my little alleyway that would be roofed, so for the roof I decided to use some stone bricks as well as quartz slabs. I also moved in all my green sheep to a brand new enclosure so that they would have a little bit more space than all the blue sheep. I mean, yeah, I kind of feel bad. The solar system was formed 4.6 billion years ago from a cloud of gas and dust called the solar nebula. A shockwave from a nearby supernova explosion probably started it. By the way, a supernova is a big star. The sun formed in the center and the planets formed all around it. I mean, how beautiful and mind-blowing is space? I really hope that after this video, if you weren't really interested in all that, that you might be a little bit more, because I just find the universe fascinating. On day 73, I fed all my sheep as well as the wandering trader. I mean, what is he doing here? And then I sheared them all and I started working on a planet you might not know called Earth. Yeah, you might know it actually. By the end of the day, I actually decided to kill off the wandering trader, just in case another one could spawn, even though, yeah, I might be a little bit superstitious with that. By the way, if you've noticed that my skin looks a lot like Steve's skin, it's because I was having some Wi-Fi issues. Basically, the live box didn't work anymore, so that was kind of stressful, but it's all resolved now, so phew. After working on Uranus, yes, it does sound a bit weird, I actually decided to do something about these portal frame blocks. So I actually added 4. Yeah, a bit crazy, but like that I can pretend it was intentional. I then continued shearing my sheep and feeding them so that I could get plenty of wool, because this was literally the only way I could get so many blue blocks and green blocks. By day 76, planet Earth was almost done, so don't pay attention at the green blocks that form the Earth, because yeah, I clearly didn't manage to recreate the continents. As it was raining, I decided to add a roof on my storage system, and then I made the discovery of the Mangrove Trapdoors, and honestly, they look super good. They would look epic for Japanese style builds. Obviously, I added a bunch of these trapdoors around my portal frame, whatever that was. And I also grew quite a few mangrove trees and chopped them down because I would be needing quite a bit of mangrove wood. And now a few facts on Mars. So as we all know, it is known as the red planet. This is because Mars is covered in soil, rock, and dust made from iron oxide, which gives the surface a red, rusty color. So in some ways, Mars is quite similar to Earth. For example, a day on Mars is actually 24 hours and 37 minutes, so that's pretty close to us. But when we talk about size, it would take more than 6 of Mars to fill the volume of the Earth. By day 78, I started working on Neptune and continued working on Uranus. The gas and ice giant known as Uranus is a fascinating place. It is, by the way, the coldest planet in the solar system, much colder than Neptune, even though it's actually closer to the Sun. So to get an idea, the average temperature on Uranus is minus 201 degrees Celsius and minus 330 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, that is a little bit chilly. As for Neptune, it has at least 5 main rings and 4 more ring arcs, which are clumps of dust and debris likely formed by the gravity of a nearby moon. There has actually only been one voyage there. Voyager 2 is the only spacecraft to have visited Neptune. No other spacecraft has orbited this distant planet to study it at length and up close. By the way, it is a lifeless planet because Neptune cannot support life as we know it. And now for the craziest fact of the video. Most astronomers believe the universe began in a Big Bang about 14 billion years ago. At that time, the entire universe was inside a bubble that was thousands of times smaller than a pinhead. It was hotter and denser than anything we could imagine. Then, it suddenly exploded, and the universe that we know was born. On day 81, I started building Saturn. It's actually quite similar to Jupiter in composition. I actually decided to add a ring to both Uranus and Neptune. And by the way, did you know that some of the rings of Uranus are made up of ice boulders several feet across? On day 82, I decided to add a few leaves on the mob farm because it was just looking hideous and it was kind of ruining my nice solar system, I felt. So yeah, I just added a bunch of leaves. It didn't really look that good, honestly, but at least I tried. When the night came, I realized that the moon was right behind Uranus and it just gave that beautiful glowy look. So for some reason, I had written this rule up in my brain, even though it's silly, that I couldn't go in the nether. You know, I have to do everything in this dimension, but I'm like, if they give you obsidian, it means you can go in the nether. I don't know why I write up these rules in my head. So yeah, obviously I made a nether portal. I lit it up with some wood and some lava because I didn't have a flint and steel. And I decided to collect some glowstone because it would give a nice look to the island and add a bit of lighting. I then spent the rest of the day chopping up some wood for Saturn. Saturn is sometimes called the jewel of the solar system. You can't actually stand on Saturn, a bit like Jupiter, because it is mainly made out of gases. One of these gases is helium, which is the same kind of gas you put in balloons. I decided to pop back into the nether because I realized that the best way to get loads of dirt out of the 8 blocks I already had would be to find gravel, so I could just combine the gravel with the dirt and make coarse dirt. Here are a few mind-blowing facts again. So there are actually more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way. There are about 3 trillion trees on planet Earth, at least for the moment. Let's hope they aren't all chopped down, and between 100 to 400 billion stars. But on another hand, there are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on Earth. I carefully made my way through the nether because I was in a basalt delta biome, so yeah, I had to do my best not to fall in the lava, and gradually I made my way down to the lava level and I collected a bunch of gravel, like literally 4 to 5 stacks. By day 85, as all the planets were done except for Saturn, I decided to release all the sheep, so I broke down their enclosure, and instead I placed down loads of coarse dirt and just hoed it down, combined it again with gravel until I had a fair amount of dirt. I was actually planning on making like a little crop farm. I thought it would look quite nice. From days 86 to 87, I started hoeing down all the dirt for the farm, and then I thought it would be better to just reunite all the sheep now that I'd used up all their wool, so that they would live a nice retirement. So, as there wasn't this blue sheep enclosure anymore, I decided to build a small Japanese house, or at least like a small Japanese build, where I would basically be putting my bed. So it was quite a simple build. I just used some oak as well as some mangrove wood. And I guess there is life on Jupiter because the wandering trader and his llamas had spawned. And when I came to see his trades, I realized he had some sand, which would be perfect because I wanted to use a bit of glass for the Japanese house. So I did realize that the house was looking very, very red, but oh well, I didn't really care. I thought it could be a good addition to the island because I'd used a lot of this mangrove wood, so it wasn't just that red coming out of nowhere. By day 90, the farm was done. I planted loads of seeds and bone mealed them. Next, I went back to work on Saturn. By the way, did you know that Saturn's rings are the only ones that can be seen from planet Earth? And also, these rings are actually extremely wide, like almost the distance from the Earth to the Moon, but they are actually very thin, like only a kilometer thin. On day 91, I brewed up some strength potions, and I actually decided to put a shader on to kind of see what the island would look like. I actually quite like playing with shaders. The only problem is you can't see as well as without shaders. So I really wanted to do this 100 days without because it's always good to play a bit of vanilla Minecraft. But let's enjoy the last 8 days with the shader. So for the Ender Dragon fight, I really needed some slow falling potions. Therefore, I decided not to sleep for 3 nights so that some phantoms would spawn. So basically what I did, during the day, I would be just building Saturn, and during the night, I would be chopping down a bunch of wood on top of my Japanese house. If there are any diamond lovers watching, you will love this next fact. Basically, there is a planet made out of diamonds twice the size of the Earth. It's actually called the Super Earth, and it is most likely covered in graphite and diamond. So paying a visit to that planet would probably pay for the $12 million spacesuit needed to get there. And of course, we can't talk about our solar system without talking about the sun. So basically, life as we know it could not exist without the sun's heat and energy. The sun is the largest object in our solar system. Its volume would need 1.3 million Earths to fill it. Oh, and guess what? The hottest part of the sun is its core, where the temperatures top 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, oof, lovely. And 15 million degrees Celsius, so that everyone gets an idea. And I actually feel it's too hot when it's like more than 35 degrees Celsius, so yeah. On the evening of day 94, the phantoms finally spawned, so I killed them off and I got 2 phantom membranes, which is perfect because I always like having a set of 6 slow falling potions rather than 3. On day 95, Saturn was finally accomplished, well apart from the rings, so of course I set to work and made a nice ring around Saturn. It's actually a bit thin, I should make it a little bit larger. On day 96, the Ender Dragon fight was so close, and I realized that my diamond armor didn't have protection 4 on it, so I decided to craft some brand new diamond armor and take my time to enchant all of it with protection 4. I then started mining the Lucky Block once again, and I got loads of spawner eggs, so I decided to put the zombie horse and the trader llama in an enclosure. I put the panda in the Japanese house for some reason. I also put 2 sheep with, all the other sheep, and then I made a small little pond, tried making it look alright, and I put in the squids, a salmon, and a dolphin, and I actually left a block gap because I didn't want the dolphins or the squids to die, because both of these creatures love suffocating on dry land. On day 98, I realized I had a ton of resources. Well, maybe not a ton, but quite a bit. So I decided to make a beacon out of gold blocks and iron blocks so that I would be a little bit more protected on this island. In the afternoon, I continued mining the lucky block and I got a bunch of rainbow sheep. So I decided to bring them all to the sheep enclosure. That night, I went back to the pond where the dolphin, the squids, and the salmon were, and guess what? They had all despawned, so yeah, that was a bit sad. On day 99, it was time to defeat that dragon, so I got prepared, and then I decided to go inside planet Earth to do the end portal. It felt a bit strange having to craft the portal myself, but guess what? It worked, and soon enough, I entered the end. After I had destroyed all the crystals, it was time to fight that dragon. So I had a power 5 bow and I combined it with some strength potion. I could really see that the sharpness 5 of my sword was really hurting that dragon because the health bar was going down so fast. Finally, the dragon was defeated, so I collected the egg and made my way back to my island. On day 100, I decided to gather up all my kitty cats that were just spread across the island and I put them all near me. That's when I realized I didn't even give you the order of the planets in the solar system. So closest to the sun, we have Mercury, followed by Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and finally Neptune. I then got a crazy good karma. Basically, I got loads of potions, and right after I got this witch, and when I was trying to kill her, I kept hitting the bats, which was quite annoying, and I realized that the witch had actually poisoned all of my poor cats. So I used some instant health and regeneration potions on the kitty cats, and soon enough, we were all doing good. I also befriended this hero villager, and then I actually got a warden egg. So yeah, of course, as it was day 100, I couldn't care less to die. I had already died about 100 times. So yeah, I spawned the warden. Worst idea ever, but actually, it got stuck because of the portal frames. So I guess they were useful after all, and I easily managed to kill the warden. So yeah, that was a pretty good fight. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any ideas for more 100-day videos, please leave them in the comments, and if I see one that looks quite fun, I will for sure do it. Love you!